Hello everyone, Michelle here from the Creative Cove, and today I wanted to show you how to make a fun little dangle using some feathers and some beads, and I wanted to attach it to this little junk journal that I'm working on, and I'm going to figure out a way to attach it to the book here. So I thought first of all we'd walk through how to make one. And I've made a whack load of these actually for Christmas presents for tree ornaments because I'm really right into the whole natural looking kind of accessories right now. So these feathers were purchased at the dollar store. I believe they're mostly chicken feathers. I believe that's what they are. And so I'm going to walk you through how to make something like this. So you will need some tools for this, jewelry making tools. If you have them. So I have a pair of pliers, just standard pair of pliers, and a small rounded nose pliers. So these are really the tools you'll need. So they're pretty standard. They're not necessarily jewelry ones, but you will need some jewelry kind of findings, I guess they're called. So for this, you're going to need some pins. What are they called? Eye pins, I guess. And we have a clamp here. I'm not sure, I'm not an avid jewelry maker, so I don't know all the technical terms, but this is a little clamp thing that you can put at the end of your feather. I'm going to show you two ways to do it in case you don't have these. A hook, I think it's called a lobster claw. That I thought is what I'd attach it to the journal with. We'll see if that works. And then you're going to need some, what are these called? Jump rings. So I just got these on clearance for 99 cents. And you're gonna need a selection of beads and some mess in the way here and some feathers. So again, these are just standard chicken feathers. So we're gonna, first of all, I'll show you this method of how to attach the little clamp here to the feather. So it's pretty standard. Oh, you might need some scissors too. So you can decide the length of your feather. If you want it a nice long one, you can use it here, or you can cut it shorter. What I like to do is I like to just thin out the edge, so there's not quite so much of a quill at the end. It just makes it a little bit narrower for this guy to fit around. And then you basically put it on the end and you just squeeze it in. And then I'm just gonna squeeze with one side of my plier and then with the other. And that is what is going to create the hanger for my my feathers to attach to chain or whatever it is that you're going to use. So most of my stuff, and I'll show you in a second some of the stuff I use, and you're just going to put a little jump ring on it like this. And now it's ready to attach. So that's one way of using it. Move that guy out of the way. Another way is to, if you don't have these little pieces and you don't want to go out and buy them, you can do it where you wrap it around. So I'll show you this method really quick. So all I do, I'm going to move this out of the way so hopefully you can see. Let's maybe bring my camera in just a little closer. So what I do is I thin the quill out. You could use a sharp X-Acto knife for that, but I don't have one. So I'm just gonna thin it. So I cut the quill in half, basically going down. And then I'm gonna use my pliers and I'm gonna flatten the quill out. And I'm just flattening it. And then what I do, you don't have to do this part, you can always add this after because they open, but I thread that on and then I roll the quill over on itself. So it creates that loop. And then I find a piece of thread like this, and I think this is jute or something. It's just a scrap piece, and I wrap. And then if you have crazy glue, that's even better, but I don't. I just have the 3-in-1, which means you have to hold it a little longer and add the glue a few times. And I'm just gonna keep wrapping, add more glue. And then I would hold this until it was completely dry and secure. So as you can see, it takes a few minutes for the glue to dry. So for video purposes, I'm just going to hold it for a second. And then you just trim off the extras. And you could add as much glue as you need to make this secure, but I just wanted to show you this way of adding the loop here so that you can add this to it. So there's that way. All right, so those are 2 ways to finish your feathers off. So I'm going to use these 3 that I have here. That one's a bit big. I don't think I want to use that. I think I'll just use these 2. All right. So for the jewelry part, I collect just old broken kind of bracelets or necklaces, and I recycle all the parts. So this is like a tube where it would be at the end, say the end of a bracelet where the clasp would be here like this, and then all the beads would come out. So I keep these, and I keep chain. I use a little bit of chain off a bracelet, and then random beads. So let's make a little cluster of beads that hang. So I'm going to just use my eye pin here, and I'm going to, let's say, use this guy. And there's no wrong or right here, just have fun threading your beads. This guy, and say this guy. So that's a cute little cluster there. And then I take I'd like to cut it the width of my finger is my standard rule to make a loop. So I make sure the beads are at the bottom, and I'm just going to clip it. And then I'm going to take my pliers again, and then I'm going to do a 45. And then I take my round pliers and I roll it back, and it creates that loop. So there's my loop. So now I'm going to put in one of these jump rings. So I'm going to take my jump ring, and instead of pulling it apart like this, I'm going to simply twist it open, lock it through, and twist it back. There we go. So actually, before I close it, let's attach it to the chain. Let's put some chain on there. So I'm just going to thread it through the chain hole, hopefully. Come on. There we go. And then I'm going to close it up. There. So now it's attached to my chain. So I think what I'm going to do is this jump ring is obviously off another piece of jewelry. So I'm going to get rid of this because it's a little bit too thin. I want something a little sturdy. So I use these thicker ones. I'm going to find a point in the chain. I'm just going to put a loop through here. Hopefully they're not too thick. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Oh, maybe this loop is too thick. Sometimes the jump rings are too thick to fit through the loops of the chain. I think it is. One more try. Yeah, so I'm going to go back to this thinner one. So again, just recycling those jewelry pieces. And then I'm going to attach my feathers to them. So I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to put this here. And then we're going to close that up. So this is kind of where you can, oops, missed a feather. This is where you can kind of decide whether or not you want to add more, add less, what look you're after. You can make sure those are closed tight so nothing comes off. And then you're going to think about how you're going to attach it to the journal. So you can use that piece of thread that you had before that we used to wrap the feather with, and you can tie it with string, let's say. See if we like that look, which I think I will, because it just incorporates another piece of material. And then we can thread some beads on there. So you can use this little guy, this little cone. So what that will do is kind of help hide. This one's not very wide, so it probably won't hide much, but you have bigger ones and they can slide over and hide all the jump rings, like this one here. It's wide enough that all the jump ring stuff goes up in it, so you don't see them. But it doesn't really matter, it's just another decorative element. And then maybe I'll add this bead, if I can get the thread through. And anytime you have trouble threading, you can always put a piece of tape around it. And maybe this bead. I got glue all over my fingers now. There we go. Oops, missed one. So this is a fun way to recycle some costume jewelry and things like that. So that's kind of cute. I like that. And I think I'll add something to the bottom of this piece of the chain. I have these really cute little, there's a feather, which is nice. And then there's a leaf. Hopefully I think I'll use the leaf. So I'm gonna open up another jump ring. And again, you just twist it sideways, thread it through, and thread it through, and close it up. So there, that's your little kind of decorative piece, which I really like the look of. So now I'm going to try and figure out how to attach it to my book. I haven't done this yet, so I don't know how well it's going to work. But I thought it'd be nice to have this kind of, I thought I'd put it in the front as opposed to the side. So I'm hoping my hole punch will go through here. So I've got my hole punch. Just gonna punch a hole right through the book. I'll open this up. And see if I can punch a hole right through it. And it may or may not work, I don't know. Oh, that sounded like it worked. So it's going through a bunch of fabric and a bunch of paper. So I think we got it, there's the hole. So I have, you need a gaiter thing, I'm not sure, I guess it's called a gaiter, and you'll need one of these little metal grommet-y things. I always open this upside down. Oh, got it the right way. So you don't have to have these, but what I like is because this piece is going to be moving and dangling and pulling, I don't want it to distort the book and start ripping. So I don't even know if this is going to be thick enough to go through, but I thought we'd try. And this might be too small to even fit that lobster claw that I have. Oh, I think I'm doing this backwards. I just forget how to use this thing. It took me forever to save to get this tool. And then I forget to use it. So there, it's gone through. I think that's pretty secure. So I was trying to think how I could get this lobster claw, but I don't think it's gonna work because the hole is too far down. So I have to figure out a way to anchor this now. So we could simply tie it. We want that kind of rustic look. Just tie it like this, which is kind of nice. And then maybe could even add a bead to this end. So that was pretty simple. Maybe a clear bead. That's a nice one. And what's nice about this way is you can actually, it's not permanent, so you can take it off and interchange it with some other accessories. I like the tied-on idea. So there we go, and just do another knot. And you just simply cut this rope if you want to change it out. Or do I want, just tie it one more time. So I've never done this before. I've never actually attached one to my book. So I'm kind of happy with the way it's turned out. Like that. I think I'll cut these ends off now that it's tied. And there we go. Cute little accessory to a nice little dangle added to my book. We could have done it on the side at the top if we wanted, but I did want it in the front. And that's a great way to use that secondhand costume jewelry, little bits and pieces you have kicking around. And again, it adds, I'm all about texture these days, so it adds a little bit of texture, a little bit of interest to your journal. So I hope you liked that video. If you did, please subscribe and hit the like button, and please feel free to leave me a comment on what you think, and we'll see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.